It's 7:40. Let's do this. Good evening, Hampton Roads. Good evening, Northeast North Carolina. My name is David Aldrich, Chief Meteorologist of WTKR News 3 Television, and you are watching First Warning Live, sponsored by Marco's Pizza, where this week, like we have for many weeks in the past, we're going to be giving away some free pizza, even have a great deal of the week you don't want to miss. So stay with me. That's just coming up in mere moments. But we're talking about the weather. That's really the focal point here. We're tracking a coastal low that could have the same impact as a weak tropical storm. Now, some of you might think that that's hyperbole, and maybe for everybody in the viewing area, it might be a stretch, but for others, you'll say, man, I had it worse than Aaron. You think about this? We have a coastal low that doesn't have a warm core. It's got fronts associated with it, so it's not going to get a name. And only if it's given a name do some people take it seriously, right? Sometimes psychologically, well, if it has a name, it's elevated, you have some respect for it. But maybe a coastal low that has no name, you look at this system and you go, I'm not too worried. Well, maybe not now. But once we get in the overnight, and I tell you there's a risk for some spin-up tornadoes and torrential rain for the morning drive tomorrow, do I have your attention? I hope I do. I hope I do, because this coastal low is going to have an impact. It's a 1-2-3 punch. 1-2-3 punch. Overnight tonight, midnight to 7 a.m. Repeat, midnight to 7 a.m. There's a risk, maybe 2%, maybe it's 3%. But there's a chance that we could get a spin-up tornado in the overnight. And at the same time, torrential rain's moving in. That's number two. It's the 2-punch. Flooding, heavy rain. We're talking 1 to 3 inches, possibly isolated 4 and 5 inches amounts of rain in the overnight into tomorrow. And then the third leg of this punch, I guess, would be the tidal flooding, which comes tomorrow afternoon and evening. So I'm going to break all this down for us. So if you're just new here, I want to thank you for being here. I got some other notes here as we're looking at this coastal low. I want to show you what we're talking about in the tropics, because this storm, the one that's way out here, might be the one that gets the name. It gets all the attention, it gets all the headlines. Nobody's really talking about the mid-Atlantic necessarily, unless you live in Hampton Roads and Northeast North Carolina. But this one now has a 90% chance it gets a name within the next 7 days. That could be Gabrielle. So we'll talk about that maybe down the road. But we are looking live at Lake Olney, we like to call it, right? Right here near the station on Olney, we have basically a lot of flooding that typically occurs. We don't have to get a lot of rain, but there are people that will drive through it. Probably not the wisest of things to do, but it basically covers some of the headlines. Rain returns tonight. Increasing rounds, especially after 11 o'clock tonight. Rounds and rounds of rain. Doesn't look like that now. No, but it's not 11 o'clock at night yet. And last I checked, it's 7:42. Tidal flooding, coastal flood advisory, and warnings. More on that in a moment. Strong winds, wind gusts 40 to 45. Had a big issue today in Oregon Inlet with what appeared to be a tractor trailer that kind of overturned with a mobile home and maybe attached to it. All the details you'll find on WTKR.com. By the way, rainfall today picked up about 1/3 in Manio so far, 0.12 of an inch in Virginia Beach, and just 1/10 of an inch in Currituck at this moment. But here's the radar right now. Most of the heavy rain is where? You don't need a meteorologist to tell you it's over the ocean. Yeah. But what happens if this all comes on shore and just hangs out here hour after hour after hour? That's not possible. It is possible. It's what's going to happen. This system is going to continue to wind up like a top. I like to call it a rainy low round. It looks like a carousel, but there's nothing fun about it, because if you're getting flooding, and I mean like heavy rain flooding from the sky, rain on top of the tidal flooding that comes in tomorrow afternoon, you're going to say, man, I got hit all 3 ways. I don't want to wish isolated tornadoes on anybody, but the ingredients are there. You can see the spin. You can see their spin here, and you can see it pretty clearly at this time. I do want to mention and thank my sponsor for being here, because he's got a special deal of the week. Marco's has the $5 Pozzoli. One of my favorite things I like to order for lunch or anytime really is the pepperoni and sausage. You could get ranch dressing as a side. You could get marinara. You could get the garlic sauce. But there are 4 varieties. If you use the promo code WTKRDavid, sign up. You could actually go to marcos.com and get a $5 Pozzoli. That's almost half price. If you watch this program, I just want to share with you, Marcos loves weather. They like to give back to the community. But one of the other nice things is that there are 5 convenient locations that participate in this free pizza giveaway that we do every Thursday. There are 3 in the 757 in Virginia Beach, and their phone numbers are on the screen. One in Chesapeake soon. I believe the next one, Chesapeake's going to open up really, really soon. I'll have more announcements on that perhaps later this week. But WTKR.com/Marcos, if you haven't signed up yet and would like to win free pizza for a year, do that now. You could do that. It takes about a minute or two. This certificate has been mailed to dozens of people since we started doing this live stream this way with Marcos since May 19th, and basically works like a punch card. So now that we're in September, you essentially get one large, one topping pizza monthly that's free, and you can get 12 months of it into the year of 2026. So that's what's really sweet about that. And if you're not really sure what a Pozzoli looks like or what their Magnifico, their pizza looks like, it's there on the right. They use that old style pepperoni as one of the many options that you can look at. But I do want to thank Marcos for being here because they are the sponsor. And I want to mention too, if anytime you're hungry, go to Marcos.com. We're always promoting a deal of the week, and this week it's WTKR David. All right, back to the weather. I want to show you the radar situation again. If you're on the call, I'm looking at some of the comments that have come in. I got a hello. I guess it's a hello. It's a hi. It's a hi from Vivian. Hi, Vivian. Am I on here? Let me say hi to Vivian. Let me wipe in here. Let me say hi. Yeah, she's like, hi, David. It's good to have you here. Maybe I'm on this camera. I can maybe easily slide over here. My hand could fit. We got it. All right, so she's over here. Vivian, great to see you. This might be an older comment, but I'll get the newer ones in here. I do want to thank all those who have watched some of the older comments even from last week. I got one from Kim Thompson-Jones. Yes, I'll take it even cooler. She likes the cooler weather. Today was not that hot. Today we hit 75 degrees in Norfolk, and that came this morning. Amazing stuff. All right, got to keep going. I've kind of covered some of the basics, right? We got a storm that's going to be unfolding or developing tonight. You've got all these little lines that are stringing out from the low. So it's not going to get a name. It's not going to catch the eyes of the Hurricane Center, but you have a front that's associated with a trough that's stretching to the west of Virginia Beach, and it's going to spin along the coast. So it's going to have some really big impact tonight in the Outer Banks, all the way up to Moyock, into Chesapeake, possibly Virginia Beach. I want you to be prepared. How much rain are we talking? I mean, come on, don't mince words. How about 1 to 3 with isolated 4s and 5s? Well, that looks like almost 6, Aldrich. I see 5.6. I know. What if it is 5.6? What if it's even within 1 inch of that? What if it's maybe a little bit less or a little more? You got to be prepared. 4 inches in the south side, Albemarle about 4.3. I just want to point this out because this is the model trying to figure out the solution. And if this is the kind of rain you're going to find in your backyard and you weren't expecting it, then that's a problem. The last thing I want you to ever tell me is, I didn't know it was going to be that bad. If you say that, then I'm not doing my job properly. Because I didn't warn you. I didn't tell you. Maybe you weren't listening. Maybe you thought, I thought that was Montana's weather, not my weather. No, I'm focused on Hampton Roads. I'm focused on Northeast North Carolina. So this kind of rain, 4.5, doesn't look like a nothing burger in Roanoke. If you're going to Roanoke, I didn't get nothing. That's why I said the storm could have an impact like a weak tropical storm. If you're over here, or if you're in Richmond, just an inch, you go nothing, right? Maybe less than 2 inches in Cape Charles. All of it is relative. All of it is going to be predicated on the track and the timing. And the timing looks pretty defined at this point, where the spin, the helicity, comes in overnight between, say, midnight and 7 a.m. So we've got some green areas, as illustrated by the Storm Prediction Center. Does not include Williamsburg. Nope. Does not include Exmoor. Nope. It does not even include Surrey County or Sussex County. So basically, it's the green areas here that have the potential for maybe an isolated spin up, like an EF0. But we're not going to declare that tonight. That would have to be determined later. But there's also damaging wind, 40 to 45, could be higher, or some flooding potential. All of this is on the table. I just want you to be prepared. Things like this happen, and some people will say to you after the fact, I didn't know it was going to be this bad. Well, for maybe some of you, it wasn't bad. Some of you will have the converse true. You'll say, I didn't know, this was nothing. I didn't have any problems at all. And if that's the case, let me know. I got some comments coming in. I do want to put them on the screen here, and that's what I'm multitasking. I got First Lady. Is this a new comment, new face? Let me say hi to First Lady Odom. Hi, First Lady Odom. Nice to see you. And she says, hey, back to you. You got a question, got a comment. I will stop, pause. I'll even magnify your voice if you got a question. I got a note from Dylan. This might be more of a question for our friend Connor. Colin Hollingsworth in the morning, he does traffic. He wants to know when the bridge will be clear. That might be his wheelhouse. Mine would be just know that the rains tonight and tomorrow morning will be so hard and so intense at times, particularly northeast North Carolina up to Chesapeake, let's say. I think it could warrant the reason to set your alarm 10, 15, 20 minutes early, just so that if the traffic slows you down tomorrow morning, you're like, boy, I'm glad I got up a few minutes early. Are you suggesting that? Yes, I am. If you're if you wake up very early, you're an early riser, may I suggest that you get up a few minutes early. Maybe you'll thank me later. But if you don't, you go on normal time and you're 20 minutes late, you'll say maybe there was some wisdom to that. Because the man seems to think we're getting some crazy weather, but we're not getting it at the moment of this live recording. That's the key. All right, so I got to get back to the weather. I know it is now 7:50, and we're talking about isolated tornadoes. Here are the peak wind gusts so far today. What is interesting is Rodanthe has had a gust of 52. It's not showing up here, but their wind speeds around 52. There was a problem of Oregon Inlet. I will draw you back to WTKR.com. Our Facebook page also has some information on this event, but a tractor trailer did overturn, and some of these winds were nasty. Manio had a 45-mile-an-hour gust. Back to the current wind gusts around the region. Right now, it's gusting 32 in both Virginia Beach as well as Norfolk. I can see that. It shows it right there on the screen. Check mark there. Check mark there. Chesapeake's gusting 25. These are current wind speeds as of 7:50 on a Monday night, the 15th of September. Manio gusting right now at 25. They had a 45 earlier. But we like to look at the, we call Lake Olney. Once it gets rainy, that suddenly standing water is easy pile up in that intersection here in downtown Norfolk, in the Ghent neighborhood. Wind gusts right now are on the screen. We have 32 Virginia Beach, 17 Melfa, Kitty Hawk right now 28, and it's 26 in Manio for a wind gust. If we move further south, we can do that. Oh, isn't that convenient? It slid south. I like how you did that, Aldrich. 32 in Rodanthe at the moment, while it's 28 in Hatteras. Last I checked, I remember, if I'm not mistaken, Hatteras had like a 52-mile-an-hour gust from Aaron. And how far away was Aaron? 200 miles from the center of circulation. It was 200 miles from us. Now Rodanthe's had a 52-mile-an-hour gust today, and we haven't even gotten to the main event because this thing's coming on shore tonight, tomorrow. So it will improve dramatically by midweek, maybe not Wednesday, but I would say certainly Thursday, Friday looks gorgeous. I'm going to get to the 7-day. I haven't forgotten about the 7-day. You're a planner. You like to know what's going on. Weekend looks pretty decent, but at least the next 24, 36 hours looks pretty rough. Pretty rough. I would not paint it as a pretty day. I will call it a lousy day from the standpoint the weather will be going downhill over the next 12 to 24 hours. I hope that helps. I'm just trying to do my part to pass on the message. What's the message? Well, there's a wind advisory. Didn't get that memo? Well, maybe you don't have our free app. We have a first warning weather app. It's free. App Store. You can get it at Google Play. Virginia Beach, all of the Eastern Shore. When does this start? Well, it looks like it starts at midnight. But it's gusty now, Aldrich. I know. But sometimes they'll just maybe have it officially start at midnight. It's bad now, but it's going to be getting stronger because the winds will be about 25 to 35 sustained, gusting up to and around 45. Certainly a possibility. You want more evidence? Look at this for a morning commute. If you're out the door, let's say you're out the door at 7:30 or 8, you get stuck in traffic. This is 9 a.m. and the winds are gusting around 45 out of the northeast. That should probably spell I got to keep both hands on the steering wheel. I can't hold on to the coffee and the cell phone and all the rest. No, it's probably pretty hard to do that, right? I would not recommend you doing that. I would suggest maybe 2 hands on the steering wheel, 2 hands on the steering wheel tomorrow, because the winds are only part of the story. Think of it as wind-driven showers and storms with potentially a spin-up tornado overnight and then a lot of rain and flooding in the morning. And then the tidal flooding, which I'm going to get to here in a moment for tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Let's show you what this looks like, though, as the clock continues. This takes us to 7 o'clock Tuesday night, and then 7 a.m. Wednesday, it starts to go back to single numbers. What's that mean? 5, 3 miles an hour? That's not much, right? So by Wednesday morning, the winds are not as much of a factor, but they're going to be a factor tonight and into tomorrow morning for sure, and linger thereafter. So let me show you the 1 to 2 feet, the inundation. Once the coastal flood advisory goes bye-bye at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, well, then the coastal flood warning picks up. So it's like a baton toss. We go from the advisory till 1, and then at 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, we're going right to the warning. and 1 to 2 feet. And I'm looking at things like Lake Olney here in downtown Norfolk. It's going to be very, very water filled, right? It's going to look like a little lake. Some of you might have that experience, but the flood advisory, I'm doing them in reverse order here. This goes until 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, the flood warning. I got my slides out of whack, but you get a sense we're not done with the tidal issues. And now the fact that the hydrologist from the National Weather Service in Wakefield has now moved us out of minor to moderate. 5.5 feet surge is now the minimum for moderate. You're going to have some moderate flooding going on around 6 p.m. tomorrow. So even though the torrential rains are gone, suddenly you're going to see water continue to rise as we head into tomorrow evening. Does that make sense? I do. I sure hope it does. I got another question. See, Aaron has a question. I haven't talked to Aaron in a while. Hi, Aaron. Good to see a friend here. He says, could wind advisories be the issue? Yes, that's also my next slide. I was trying to throw that in. We have a wind advisory. We have coastal flood advisory. We have a high surf advisory. We have a high coastal flooded warning. I mean, it's a lot. So if you just put it all in one together, it's like a tropical storm, but without the name, right? That's what I'm maintaining. That's what I'm trying to communicate with you. Because if you have a way that you're going to behave differently, maybe you get up 20 minutes early. Maybe you take my suggestion. Maybe you just poo-poo it. I'm not listening to that guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about because I look out the window, it's fine. Maybe now it is. Tomorrow morning you might think differently, especially when I show you the areas that are more susceptible to this heavy rain. Tomorrow morning, as I look this full, I want to show you the minor. We've already had ocean overwash on NC-12 in Buxton. That's what this black and white photograph in the center shows you. It shows you the time. You don't need me to tell you. It's right. It says 7:51. So that was like 5 minutes ago. But there was and has been a lot of ocean overwash right in here during the course of today. So they're dealing with some issues on the Outer Banks. That's going to be moving forward. Sewell's Point might be minor for the tidal flooding at 5 a.m., but that's when the rain might be most intense. And at 6 a.m. in Yorktown, it might be minor tidal flooding, but the intense rain will be coming down at 6 a.m. And then it's all reversed, like when the rain slows down, the tidal flooding goes back up, as I just showed you with the 5.5 Sewell's Point illustration at 2 p.m., or I should say 6 p.m. on Tuesday evening. Meanwhile, the high surf advisory runs till 4 o'clock tomorrow, 7 to 9 feet. That's pretty big. Lows this morning happened at 6:17 this morning. We had a low of 69. 69 degrees was the low temperature in Norfolk. I like to keep track of, the airport keeps great numbers. They keep good records. So I share with you, when did that happen? It didn't hit 75 today. It did. It did in Norfolk, but it did it at 9:37 in the morning. Last I checked, we're in the low 70s now, but we hit our high. It's just interesting. Maybe it's just food for thought, but 75 Hampton, 75 Norfolk. We hit mid-70s today at 9:37 this morning. Right now it's 70 at Chesapeake, 70 in Virginia Beach, 71 in Norfolk. Our friends in Poquoson, 71, Smithfield, 71, and Moyock at 71 degrees. I'm just checking comments. If you have something you want to say hi, I want to say hi to a friend. I want to say hi to that guy, Taj. You got your picture back. And it's bringing a smile to my face. I know it's a static photo, but I'm just smiling because there was last week, maybe the week before, you didn't have a photo. I felt like, does he not want us to know what he looks like? But I'm really glad you're back. Taj, great to see you. He's been an active communicator with me on this stream over the last couple of weeks, if not beyond, and I'm always appreciative of that, as has so many, like Kim Thompson-Jones, Denmark. I could name on a whole bunch of people. Aaron Johnson, too, has also left quite a few comments over the weeks. But let's get back to the forecast, because what's most important is what do I need to do right now as we approach 8 o'clock. Just know that in the next 4 hours, I suspect the rain's going to become more intense. Right now, we don't have a lot of rain showing up on the METARs. That's just the airport codes. It looks like it's raining at Norfolk International, but it looks like it's cloudy Virginia Beach and cloudy in Kitty Hawk. And we've got some rain falling at 8 o'clock here in Manio. So not everybody's getting in the rain. In fact, it looks like it's probably clear below 5,000 feet in Ahoskie. So my only point is, this will be developing over the next couple of hours. The beach forecast, I'm not recommending you swim tomorrow, but if you happen to take a cup of coffee and you're walking the beach in the rain, you're looking at 6 to 9 feet surf height around Virginia Beach. Very low UV index because it's going to be mainly gray, and you got these crazy winds, 25 to 35 plus. So it's not a good hair day by any stretch. I've already covered the tropical activity. We could sit here and debate why is this one going to get a name and this storm on the coast is not. We've already covered that. You'll have to watch the live stream when it's on Facebook after it's done recording here live. But I can tell you this is a storm that is slowly getting its act together. Now, because I love you, because I wouldn't leave you in the dark, I'm not going to let you have to guess, is that going to come here? I don't think so. I mean, I could just show you a couple of models. As I've always said, there are as many models in weather as there are breakfast cereals at Harris Teeter or Kroger. And if you want to know where this storm is projected to be, this takes us through Friday the 26th. I got my dates here. There's a 1 in there that shouldn't be in there. That was a typo. But it's 9/26. This shows that this storm has a good chance of sliding to the east of Bermuda. How do I know that? Because look here. This little fish island, beautiful island, I've been there twice in my life. Been blessed to have done that once and twice, once on a cruise and once there on an airplane. But this looks like this storm, which would be Gabrielle, is likely to turn right, to the right of Bermuda. That's much farther away than Erin ever was, and this is just one of the models, the European model. The latest, I believe, the 18Z GFS, it's an American model, also approaches Bermuda from the east side, but much further. Because you can see here, as I stop the clock there it is. That's even further away to the east, and we're over here. So we're not going to be worried, I don't think, in the end, about what's going to hit us from Gabrielle's sense. I mean, we'll just mark that name off the list. But my suspicion is there will be other opportunities for something new to develop. And here's another one right here on its heels, right here on the bottom right. So if this is Gabrielle, maybe this is Umberto. I'm just guessing. I'm just spitballing, but we'll also want to watch what's going on in the Gulf, watch what's close in, and these models are not necessarily going to give you, it's not gospel, it's just guidance, right? But I will say this, it looks like it's snowing in blue and white up here in Canada, so maybe we're going to get closer to colder weather down the road. Right now we have Gabrielle, Umberto, and Imelda on the list. All these names we'll be watching closely for the rest between now and the 30th of November, which is the official end of hurricane season. It is the 15th of September. We have well past the September 10th peak. I mentioned we had 75 today. The record high was 93 back in 1938, a long time ago. Probably a long time for anyone to think, but think about this. We've had now 12 days below normal for the month, which I know puts a smile on perhaps the Kim Thompson Joneses of the world and the Denmarks of the world because they don't like hot weather. It was 95 a week ago Saturday, and that's really hard to imagine because we went from 95 to 75. All in 24 hours, not this weekend, but the weekend before. I just think that's kind of interesting. And we will be moving into like every fourth day our normal drop. So tomorrow the normal high is 81. We do that for 4 days. Then we go to 80. We stay there for 4 days. So the normal highs and the normal lows typically get a lot cooler, a lot faster this time of year. So far the airports had only 0.01 and Norfolk International, and we're really dry relative to the norm. We're at 0.39. So far we're about 2.5 inches below normal for the month. Imagine that, 2.5 inches below normal for the month. So whatever rain we get probably will benefit us in the long run. Maybe not all if it happens at once, but I can tell you that typically September is, I think, the third wettest. July is definitely 6, and August is nearly 6. So yeah, September is about the third soggiest month of the year, while the driest typically is February, and it was all topsy-turvy this year because February was a surplus month. We had over 3 inches of rain and melted snow. And what I find fascinating is the total here, and the difference between what we had last year was almost 42 inches. We had almost 13 inches more rain this time last year than we have so far this year. I mean, it's astonishing, but that's sometimes the way weather works. Hopefully my map will buffer. The NOAA drought monitor, which comes out every Thursday, there it is, all the yellow areas would suggest abnormally dry. We call that level 1 out of 5 distinct levels. Extreme is red, exceptional is burgundy. But if you're in any one of those colors, yeah, you probably need some rain in Norfolk or Hickory or Fort Story or Ocean Lakes. Back Bay could use some rain. Cape Charles could use some rain. Maybe we could exclude Exmoor. They had a lot of rain a couple of weeks back in the morning to the tune of like 7, 8, 9 inches or more. It's crazy. Gloucester could use some rain. Matthews County could use some rain, as could the peninsulas and the Outer Banks. The red patch up in New Hampshire could use some rain over there under the extreme drought. That's Warren and Lebanon. And you can see back toward maybe southern Florida, they could use some rain, and so it goes. There's been some big improvement in East Tennessee. I have a big following from there, from having worked there for 15 years. Some good improvement there. It looks like it's Roan and Loudoun County, maybe not far from Lenore City, that has had some dry patches, and Fentress County looks like they could use a little bit of rain over here in yellow, but not a big deal. Things have probably leveled off. You had quite a bit of rain this fall so far, or late summer season. And the red areas, South Texas, the Rockies, Arizona, New Mexico, all the way up to Montana, Idaho, and Washington State could use some rain. All right, I'm just checking in with you. Want to say hi. If there's any comments, any questions, any thoughts, let me know. I think Taj is excited about what I saw. I thought, hey, snow in Canada, maybe that's the canary in the coal mine. Some of us would like a little early snow. I'm thinking first 7 days of December. Who's with me? Who would be open? How many of you, by a show of comments, how many of you would welcome a little bit of snow first week of December before the holidays to get you in some kind of holiday spirit? I don't know. Maybe you're in that camp. Maybe you think, no, la, I don't want to hear about snow even the first week of December. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different type of situation. I got a note from Day Whitney. I believe that's her name. Day says, hey, will the weather affect schools or traveling? Definitely think it's going to affect the morning commute. Whether it's going to cancel a school, that's beyond my pay grade. It's like saying, hey, I thought you know about weather. I can predict what's going to happen to the weather. I can't predict whether the umpire is going to call it a ball or a strike, right? You could say, I got stuck on the bridge. I got stuck on the Hampton Roads HRBT, whatever it is that you drive across. You might want to just give yourself 10, 15, 20 minutes. And you know what? If I'm wrong, I just thought about this. If I'm wrong and you got up 20 minutes early and you're mad, well, then go off and grab a cup of coffee, right? Get a cup. You have extra time to get some coffee or a bagel or whatever it is that suits your fancy. Of course, I have the fancy of wanting a Pozzoli because if you use the promo code WTKR David, you can get a $5 Pozzoli at Marcos.com, which is the deal of the week. But I digress. Let me get back to the weather because I do know that we have a lot of interest around the country. When you have a military town such as ours, you might have family everywhere and anywhere you could imagine. And I'm looking at one severe thunderstorm in orange popping up just west of Rapid City. I thought this would be a good spot to stop here for a second to see if I'll get the updates here. There it is. It's in, well, that's the county, Crook, Lawrence, Pennington, and Weston. Considerable damage. The threat is considerable for severe thunderstorm warning for damaging winds, and it could affect as many as it looks like about almost 20,000 people. That's what that would suggest there. But that's just one spot in the country. Maybe you have less interest here, and maybe where you're more interested is maybe down in Texas, where the weather's quieted down quite a bit. Not a lot to see here. We have a couple of storms in the Midwest. I'm looking to the east of Kansas City. Nothing severe here, however. Memphis has got a few showers nearby. And in western North Carolina, we've got some showers around Asheville, dropping down from the north, coming down, looks like 26, and maybe near I-40, and heading eastward, you can see what we're dealing with here. Now, there is some thunder. There are some thunderstorms here. You can clearly see them dancing. But right now, because that's a hard sell, it's all over here in the ocean, right? It's in the middle of the ocean, and nobody thinks, thinks twice about it. But what happens after 11 o'clock tonight when all of that comes on shore? And it just sits over some areas hour after hour. Then you go, hey, maybe that weather guy was right. Maybe I should have gotten up 10, 15, 20 minutes early just so I could get to work or school somewhat on time. Because I have no idea what kind of backups there could be. I'm good at what I do, but I'm not clairvoyant. I don't have all the vision to know, there'll be an hour delay on this highway and 30 minutes on this one. I don't know. But I do know it's going to be sloppy. I know it's going to be lousy as far as the weather. So that's how I would describe it. All right, keep moving. I want to show you what we're seeing, at least where the rain is now. As it is now 8:08, I got to keep wrapping up here. Virginia Beach ocean temperatures, no surprise, we get cooler in October into the 60s, typically 50s in November. The dew point goes up tomorrow. Did you know that? That's another aspect. If you're not a fan of humidity, we should have a dew point closer to 70 tomorrow. Well, how do you know? Because I got 62s right now, 63 in Norfolk, 64 in Currituck. But my suspicion is, even though some of these are +1s and -2s, that they're likely to rise like so. When I say this is where I expect it to be, about 67, 68 Wednesday, Thursday. Then it comes back down a little bit as we head into Friday and Saturday. So that's where the dew points will be. I think they're going to be a little bit higher tomorrow. Meanwhile, if you look at our current readings, it's still very warm. if not hot, in Nashville, Music City at this hour. Atlanta's 80, Columbia's 80. Our friends in Knoxville, 79. We got 70 in Virginia Beach, and some rain-cooled air perhaps around Hatteras. 69 currently in Richmond. These are current readings as of 8 o'clock. Pick out your favorite town around the country. Very hot in Phoenix, 101, but not as hot as they've seen all summer. 83 in Tallahassee. Houston, Texas coming in at 87 degrees. Now the outlook goes down the pike. We're going right to about the 29th, almost the end of the month. And it's going to be very warm in this very orange red area here. We'll say very above. And we'll probably be right on the edge of above normal. So that means that I think the potential of getting back above 80 will be probably with us until we get further into the month of October. You need more evidence to see that. Look at the coloring here. Watch what comes down from Canada. Some cold air. Here's where you might get some snow, where you see some blue. But as we head into September 23rd, September 24th, we might be considered above normal, kind of like the suggestion from the Climate Prediction Center. But you really have to see all that blue at the top up here would suggest that winter probably isn't that far away, all things considered. Tuesday's planner, this is tough to report. Look at the winds here, right? This is gusts to 45, 25 to 35. That's the wind speeds I expect tomorrow. Not the prettiest, 73 if we're lucky. 69 showers linger. So it's going to be very sloppy in the morning. The rain might be far more intense in North Carolina and less intense if you're in Williamsburg or York County or in Gloucester or Matthews. Lesser amounts there. But you'll get your turn because in the afternoon it'll spin back around because it's a rainy low round. It's like the carousel. You've been to it, Busch Gardens or Dollywood for my East Tennessee fans. Yeah, it's like the carousel. Except it's the rainy low round, it'll come back around sadly, and then you'll have to worry about heavy rains in Exmoor and other places too. So yes, hopefully that answers Day-Day's question that it will get sloppy tomorrow, no doubt. It is 8:11. I got to keep moving. Right now my temperature trend has one glorious day above normal. Normal high tomorrow is 81. I think this is a mostly sunny day. I think Friday's the pick day of the week. Saturday's pretty good too. And Thursday's not bad given the fact that the next 24 to 36 hours will have its challenges. 90% chance of rain tomorrow, 60% chance on Wednesday. So what you're saying is you're pretty confident it's going to rain tomorrow. Yes, I am very confident. We're all going to get rain, but sometimes it's not about the fact that did it rain, and sometimes it's a question how much did you get? Remember, at the top we were talking about 1 to 3 generally, but some could get isolated 4s and 5 inches amount. That's a lot of rain. Right? That's almost a month's worth for many of us, and some of us have to endure that in a 24 to 36 hour period, which I wouldn't wish on anybody. But that may be what ends up happening over the next couple of hours. Developing coastal low, we showed you this at the top. If you're just joining us, this is what's happening. This will not get the name Gabrielle. It's not even on the name consideration list simply because it does not have a warm core, among other reasons. It's got fronts associated with it too. Onancock 69, Bloxham 69. These are your high temperatures tomorrow. You're going to have some red flag issues with high rip currents. 70 for Cape Charles, 72 for Manio, 72 for Kill Devil Hills. I think the chance of rain's pretty high. Got 80% there for Manio and maybe a lesser amount in Ocracoke and Hatteras. Storm Prediction Center, we talked about this. We are listed, Hampton Roads, under isolated. Well, how do you know about that? Well, hiding behind the words Virginia Beach is some green coloring. And I'm going to zoom in there in just mere moments. But maybe if you have family in Wyoming, like Casper, they could have isolated severe storms between now and daybreak. Northern Minnesota could get some isolated severe storms between now and daybreak. Springfield, Missouri, Memphis, Tennessee, areas just north of Little Rock could get some isolated severe storms. And last but not least, we fly back home. Oh yes, Ahoskie, Eatonton, Elizabeth City, all these areas could have, in fact, isolated tornadoes overnight tonight. So this would include Duck, Wanchese, Manio, Roanoke Island, Kill Devil Hills, and really all the way up to about the doorstep of Portsmouth. That's where they put that in. This is where they decided to draw the coloring. They did not include Franklin, but they did include Suffolk. And they did include Gates, but they did not include Newport News. Just being the messenger here. Severe threat on Tuesday is pretty much void at most places. Part of Nebraska, South Dakota, maybe Kansas and Colorado, a little isolated severe storm there. Nothing here locally. And last but not least, Wednesday looks pretty tranquil across the lower 48 with zero coloring across the lower 48. So tonight, we're down in the mid-60s. Tomorrow morning, pack your patience. Is that a cliche? I guess I just used it. All right, don't pack your patience. Just get up early. Get up early, 10, 15 minutes early, maybe 20. And if I'm wrong because it didn't affect your community like it affected someone else's community, then you get some coffee. And maybe you don't feel so rushed. Maybe there's a benefit to getting up early 1 day a week. Who knows? I don't know. But temperatures will be in the 60s. And with 67 in Virginia Beach, 69 in Duck, 65 in Cape Charles, that might be of help to you. Lows around 64 for Chesapeake, Gatesville 63, our friends in Matthews at 63. Tuesday afternoon, mid-70s if we're lucky. We were at 75 today. We'll split the difference. We'll probably be pretty close to 73 tomorrow on the south side. Current temperatures obviously are getting cool, but highs tomorrow really don't move much, right? These are the high temperatures tomorrow. But for Portsmouth, about 71. Gloucester, 68, and 68 for Williamsburg. I'm expecting 73 Norfolk, about 72 Nags Head, and 68 Gatesville. Here is, lo and behold, your first warning, WTKR News 3 7-day forecast. It's soggy, it's windy, with coastal flooding a real issue tomorrow evening, afternoon and evening, but scattered storms on Wednesday to 60%, and then spotty on Thursday. I think this is the best looking day of the next 7. Saturday is still a gem. You've got Norfolk Tides baseball games. I hate to mention to you, but they're running out of games this September. Like baseball season will be winding down, so you might be losing opportunities. I do know Friday they're celebrating the game of pickleball at Harbor Park. What? You must be off your nut. No, actually they're selling Norfolk Tides logos, I think, on paddleboards for pickleball. Because pickleball has become so popular, they're celebrating one of the fastest growing sports at Harbor Park on Friday night. So you have opportunities to go there, check it out. And if you go on Saturday, say hi to me, because I'm going to be giving out the golf caps. It's got the News 3 logo up to the first 3,000 people that attend, 18 and older. You'll get a golf cap. How cool is that? And I think I'm throwing out the first pitch. Last I was told, that's the memo I keep getting. You know, you're throwing out the first pitch. I got to get my arm in shape. I got a lot to do between now and Saturday. But that's going on, partly cloudy, 78 degrees. So you've got lots of options. Pick out your favorite day. Just know that if you leave the umbrella at home tomorrow, you'll be kicking yourself. So don't kick yourself. I wouldn't want you to do that. Got a couple of happy shots as we round out the night. This is from actually last week. Sunrise at the Salt Ponds in Buckrow. Talking Hampton, thank you, William Wood, for this great picture. Got one from Chesapeake Avenue, waterfront sunrise in Hampton, from Bradley Fullwood. Isn't that beautiful? There's a lot of beauty here, but we're not going to see as much of this beauty in the next 12 to 24 hours. Just the weather's not going to cooperate. But eventually, this will come back around, just like Katrina Gay captured this beautiful sunset at James River. Love this picture as well. So you've got lots of things to attract you to this part of the world. We love it here, and we hope that you will too if you're watching us from an out-of-state location. Always come to visit us in the Outer Banks, the Eastern Shore, or Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach. We love to see you in Norfolk as well. So that's it in a nutshell. If you have any comments, questions, let me check real quick if there's anything new. Let's see, Taj Brown made an observation for me. He says carousels, if I have this right, carousels, they stink, they suck, they never stop spinning. Yeah, it's kind of like that, right? Counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere, that's what this coastal low is going to do. And I think, I'm going to end the way I started, this coastal low, as we track it, could have as much impact as a weak tropical storm. Maybe not everywhere, but for those that get the 3, 4, 5 inches of rain, you might have said, man, that was worse than Aaron. That was worse than Aaron. But maybe you don't think that if you're in Williamsburg or if you're in Wakefield, because maybe you were further away from the center of this storm. Other notes that might have come in, let's see here. Terry is making an observation. Just want to share this. She says, Hatteras is taking a beating right now. It doesn't surprise me. And some of that pounding is going to come on shore in the next couple of hours. And so it's going to make believers out of people out of maybe Elizabeth City or Duck or Corolla that maybe thought that the worst was over. The worst is not over. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And I will be here again streaming tomorrow night. We're on at 4, 5, and 6. We have a newscast. 7, we got 10 o'clock news. But I encourage you to go to WTKR.com. You'll get the very latest on all the news events of the day and updates on live blogs for the weather as well. So I encourage you to do that. By the way, if you haven't signed up, I really want to give you free pizza. Do you know how hard it is to give away free pizza? I find it hard. Some people think, oh, there must be a catch. There's no catch. We just need to have some information from you so that we have your blessing to send you a certificate. We do it random. It's randomized. It's every Thursday. We're going to be giving away free pizza, but there are, to be fair, there are 5, soon to be 6, 757 locations that participate. There are all kinds of Marcos around the country. You'll find them in Hampton Roads, you'll find them in Tidewater area, but these 5, soon to be 6, are special because that's where you can redeem the certificate if you are the winner. And we've been giving away not only pizza for a year, but I've also been giving away the certificate, meaning like you could give away, like we've been giving away 10 individual pizzas on Thursday. So you get a pizza, you get a pizza. So everybody gets to have something. Maybe you've never tried Marcos. This is a way that you can try it. It really doesn't cost you anything. It's really, whether you're far away or near, you get in your car, you come to one of those locations, and you can redeem that pizza. That's what I love about them. And they're also basically giving you many options. So you could grab the Pozzoli, you could grab the Magnifico. I do want to encourage you, the Pozzoli on the left is on sale if you use the promo code WTKR David. That's my first name, of course, the call letters of our TV station. And if you're in the checkout, you'll get it for $5. Usually costs, I don't know, 8.5 to 9, something like almost half off. But my personal favorite is pepperoni and sausage. You might prefer the buffalo chicken. You might prefer just pepperoni, whatever suits your fancy. Check it out. The Pozzoli's great. If you're tempted to go through the drive-thru, you might prefer this much, much better because it saves you some money. Anyway, my name is David Aldrich. Don't forget, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if the weather is sunny or if it's suddenly now serious. And I'd say this is serious to pay attention to. Every day is a gift. So make the most of it in your neighborhood. Look out after each other. We're our neighbors. That's all we got. We're all we have. We've got to take care of each other. We'll see you here tomorrow. Take care.